This is the third go I've had at this one, because I've somehow forgotten to turn my microphone on twice. So I'm drinking this time. This isn't a bit, by the way. I'm not, going, oh, you know what would be funny is if I said I hadn't turned my microphone on. And normally, when I want to chill out, I don't have to chill out and then realise that I've made a tech error and then chill out again and then have to chill out for a third time because I somehow didn't fix it after the first fuck up. So that's where I'm at. Actually, hang on. Okay, now it's on, so that's good. I've checked this time, which maybe I should have done before. I was going to do an intro, but I'm going to talk about an album and, listen to this. What this one's going to be about is MGMT. The album and the band. I kind of like an eponymous album. Sometimes it seems a bit lazy, but I think that it can be read as a mission statement. And I'll tell you why that makes sense for this particular record. At the start, Andrew Van Wingarden and the other guy whose name I think is Ben, but I can't remember his surname, just wanted to write music that they liked. Then they wrote Kids, Time to Pretend and Electric Feel as a sort of triptych of songs just to see if they could write some, rubbishy pop rock. Those were stratospherically successful. They did unimaginably well. Now the problem was, that wasn't the music they wanted to make. Oracular Spectacular is a good album, and it's got some appropriately weird songs on it. And you know what, those 3 singles, I don't think they're without their quirks either. But that was ultimately not where they saw themselves going in terms of career musicians. You can do one of 2 things. You can accept it, or you can try and throw everyone who liked those first few records the biggest middle finger that you possibly can. And that's what their second album, I think, is. That's how it reads to me. That one called Congratulations is not the one I'm talking about today, but I will touch on a couple of songs briefly. First, Siberian Breaks. It's like a 12-minute long epic, and I think it was around the same length or just slightly longer than their 3 most successful previous songs combined. Is basically what I think they're doing there, but it's very good. Did you know I like ambient music? Because the second album also has a song called Brian Eno on it. Why would you just write a song about how much you like Brian Eno? I mean, yeah, fair enough, but it's a bit bloody rogue, isn't it? Anyway, we're not talking about that album. We're talking about an album that I think was actually less commercially successful than Congratulations, which it must be said didn't do great. We're talking about the third album today, MGMT. A deeply strange album. I'm not going to go into too many of the actual individual songs from it, because if I do that, every single one I'll just go, the music's quite good, and it's a bit weird, but it's really good, and it's different from all of the other songs, and you should listen to it, it's really good. So we're not going to do that. If you want, skip back to the start of me saying that bit just then, and then just play it for every other song. That's fine. I'll touch on 2 though. The first, Alien Days, is the opener of the album. I think a good opener is maybe the most important part of an album. It's more important than the closer. Honestly, a closer, you've listened to the album all the way through. You're kind of okay with it. Turning off an album is much easier than turning off a film. A closer just needs to be like, it's like a concluding paragraph. It just has to go, just like, here we go, cool. That was all good, wasn't it? Thank you so much for coming. Here's to you. An opener needs to, it's like a mission statement. You need to know where you are with an opener. Now, my first experience of the opener was being pissed off by my inability to listen to it. I was in Leeds for what would have, I believe, been Record Store Day 2012, which makes me feel very old. But there's a lot of that when I look back at the music, actually. Like I tell you that, when I was trying to come up with albums to do on this series, woo! I'm out of touch. Referencing that song, not helping, but there we are. Anyway, Record Store Day, Leeds, 2012. I don't know if you've noticed, because of the fact that I've got an entire fucking YouTube channel talking about it, But I like music. I like listening to music. I like talking about music. I like discussing music. I like getting my hands on new music. The first time I shot this, I was facing that way. So you'd see, I had my record collection behind me, which might have made this bit slightly more impactful, but I think this is a clean background and I think this is fine. I wanted to like get up at 6 and, you know, be outside the record store for opening so that I could get all the cool little things that I wanted. There was a new MGMT single, which I was sold on because I thought the last album was decent, which no one else bloody did. I went to what I bizarrely remember as Elephant Records, but it turns out Elephant Records is like a record label in Sheffield, and in Leeds, which is bizarrely close when you think of this similarity, there's a record store called Jumbo Records, which is where we actually went. So we went to Jumbo Records and I was like, fucking sick, let's grab me this MGMT cassette. And don't get me wrong, I still got the Dry the River and Stealing Sheep vinyl singles, and something from, I think, like a record zine from the label I think Villagers were on. That was my first experience of trying to listen to fucking Alien Days, and I couldn't listen to it. And it's a shame, but also a blessing, because this album is so perfectly encapsulated by this opening track that I'm upset that I couldn't hear it sooner, but also glad that I didn't hear that and then just have them just go,
oh, I know it's, probably fucking April now. You want to hear the whole album? Yeah. You've got to wait until September.
So, as I say, it's a blessing because I wasn't frustrated, but it's a curse because I couldn't hear what is genuinely one of my favourite intro tracks. Now, when I say intro tracks, I'm not talking about the little vignettes that some artists put at the start, which aren't like a full song, because I think that's a different category. I think it leads in, and I think it's very different. But this is a full track that starts the album, and I think is one of the best in terms of encapsulating what the album is. The first thing that we're greeted by is what I could only describe as the opening of The Simpsons, but if it was played by some weird synth setup on shrooms, like literally just the bit where the clouds are parting. Imagine that, but the clouds are green and they're weird CG, which we'll touch on again later. It's a brilliantly odd sound to start the album on, throws you off balance. Then the vocals come in, they're weird and pitch shifted up.
Like this, in post, although at this stage my voice is so tired that I don't know if at this point, having pitched them up, which I'll still be doing at this point, sorry it's so annoying, they might sound not like normal pitched up vocals because I'm really...
You can hear it now that I've put my voice back to normal, and I'm sorry about this. Either way, it's a really great little opener. It goes into this harmonically really odd song, but it does make sense when you hear it. It's only when you go back and like listen to the actual music, when you're trying to read along what they're doing musically, that you realise that it is really bizarre. But to loop back around to that, what I said at the start was obviously that this one seems to me to be the definitive mission statement for what I'm calling MGMT 1. I'll touch on the new album in just a little, but for me, the fact that the first album was much more poppy than the second album was, I think, was too weird for a lot of people. This one is bang in the middle. It's got catchy songs, it's enjoyable, but it's also what I suppose you'd call interesting. It has a thing that it's trying to do, which isn't what everyone else is trying to do, and it does it well. Now, as I said, I could just talk about every single song, and I'd essentially say those same few things about them, like it's weird, but it's good, and it's musically interesting, blah, 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 you know. This has gone on quite long enough, and I'm more than aware of that, as I'm sure are you. There's one other that I want to touch on, and it's Your Life is a Lie, because I feel like the song that I'm going to compare it to now, in terms of a very specific aspect, gets all the credit. Pumped Up fucking kicks. I will say, I don't think Pumped Up Kicks is a bad song. Loved Foster the People. Saw them at Reading 2011. Sorry, I'm so old again. And yeah, they were great. You know, I think they're a good band. In terms of the reason why I think that these two should be in direct competition, and why I kind of think that Your Life is a Lie is a better song, is because they're both very chirpy sounding songs. You know, Your Life is a Lie is like da 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 da, sha da da boo, da da da. That is quite enough of that, I'm sorry. But the lyrics are all just like, you know, open your eyes, your life is a lie. look at your friends, like count your fingers, look at them again, they're not your friends. It's depressing lyrics. And I think, I'm not saying that, you know, American school shootings are okay, obviously. I'm not saying that, and please don't take that clip out of context, because I like not being a social pariah. But I think that this is much more effective simply because, you know, who hasn't at some point thought, what if my entire life is a lie, and you know, all of these friends are fakes, and I'm having an existential crisis, and I don't know if what I'm doing is right, and why am I doing the things that I'm doing, and you know, what is there really any way to, within such systems of control in which we exist, really exercise one's own sense of free will and do the things that you truly do want to do, and really feel like you are yourself. So that's why I think it's a better song. But the other reason why I wanted to touch on it is because of the video. The Live is a Lie video is great, but I think that there's a far more compelling visual statement to this album. No, it's not the cover, although I do believe that the contrast between the normality of that image and the weirdness with which Alien Days immediately unfurls is part of the disorienting effect that is an essential part of this album's experience. But what I am talking about is the optimizer. When I first purchased this record, I got a little slip, I think it was inside the case, and it said, free download of the optimizer with this code. So I, you know, didn't know what the optimizer was, and I put the code in, and well, I basically ended up downloading a video file that was like the length of the album. And the visual style of this full animated video that they made, that's the whole length of the fucking album, incidentally. You can literally just sit there for the length of the album and watch this odd thing happen, is somewhere between LSD Dream Emulator, which is one of the most beautifully warped PlayStation 1 games you're ever likely to hear of. It never got a UK release, but I go and find like a video of it, or somewhere. I ain't gonna link on, there's loads. Choose any random video. They will never be the same, and they'll always be completely fucking mental, but I can't recommend them enough. Or like Creatures from Bamzuki. Now you're probably wondering what that is. Bamzuki was this British children's TV show, and you could go online and download something called the Zook Kit, and the Zook Kit was this like creature builder, but it's all really like low poly. So you'd be like, I want a body for this creature. What is it? Oh, it's like a flattened ball. Everything's like angles. It looks horrible. It's all really like low poly, as a lot of the optimizer kind of have the same sort of vibe as you've seen, because those weird things that I've been putting up sporadically throughout this video, that's the optimizer. I didn't make those. That's legitimately what you can watch. I loved the PlayStation 1 growing up, and it's a graphical reminder of that, with just this intense, unusual, wonderful music over the top. So I suppose, yeah, the first instalment of Listen to This does not in fact end with a request that you do listen to this. I'd go and watch this in this case.
Because I'm sure you can now find the tornado.
See you in the next one.
Okay guys, that's it. Thanks for watching that one. I actually make music as well. Don't know if I've mentioned, but there's a link to that downstairs. If you've listened to MGMT's fourth record, I think it's called Little Dark Age, can you talk to me about why it's good? Because I tried, and after this album, I was kind of disappointed. It is a huge stylistic change, but I should be used to that with them. And I'm kind of interested at some point to maybe do something about trying to get into artists after I fell out of love with them. So if you do like that album, I'd be really interested to hear why. Yeah, you know, give it a like, give it a comment, whatever you want, it really helps. And subscribe so that you can see me in the next one. Bye!